On this episode of the Big Success Show, is life passing you by?
Big Success with the Professor and Mary-Lynn.
Have you ever looked at the calendar and felt like another year, another chapter of your life has just slipped away? Like you're on the sidelines while life moves forward without you? If so, we've got good news for you. You're not alone.
Welcome to the Big Success Show, where we help you create the life you want. Hi, I'm Mary-Lynn.
And I'm George, the Professor. Many people, young and old, feel this way at different stages of their life. That sensation that time is slipping through your fingers can be confusing, discouraging, even painful. But it can also be a signal you can use to pivot, refocus, and start living more intentionally.
In this podcast episode, we're going to explore why this feeling of life passing you by happens and the psychology behind it, how certain life traps keep us stuck, and practical steps you can take today to regain a sense of purpose and momentum. So what do people really mean by life is passing me by? Let's break that feeling down. When someone says life feels like it's passing me by, they usually mean one or more of these things.
Time feels fast, but progress seems slow. Life moves forward. Birthdays, seasons, transitions, yet your sense of progress just doesn't seem to match the pace.
Goals stay on the back burner. Deep down, there's something more you want to do, but you just haven't gotten there. Yet time marches on.
You feel reactive, not proactive. You respond to life instead of creating it.
You feel stuck in a rut. Routines become autopilot, and days blend into one another.
There's a gap between your potential and your reality. You know you could do more, be more, live more, but nothing changes.
So, Professor, this experience, it really all comes down to alignment, right?
Well, or Mary-Lynn, or the lack of it. The lack of alignment between your inner values and your daily life.
Good point.
What you know you want versus what you have.
The science of why time flies. Let's get into the science. There's actually a psychological reason why 10 years feels longer when you're 10 than when you're 50. And psychologists explain that when you're young, everything is new, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first concerts, your first job, your first love. So time feels longer because our brains are recording these rich memories with all of these new experiences and lots of detail to go along with it.
Now then, as we age, more of our life becomes routine. Fewer memorable moments are created, so time feels shorter. Days blur together. Before you know it, a week's turned into a month, which has turned into a year, and here we are, feeling like life has passed us by again.
It just seems like, so we get older, we're boring.
No, I think it's just that we're absorbing things at a different rate.
Yeah.
And
our brains are already like, been there, done that.
Yes, exactly.
And so it's not recording this stuff as new.
I remember a friend of mine worked at our local deli, and every Sunday night, he had a customer who came in. He ordered like a pound of bologna and a half a pound of cheese every single Sunday night. My friend knew the order was coming in. That's what you call a routine, right? Well, when life feels routine, time feels like it's flying.
Or it feels like a whole lot of bologna and cheese. One of two, right?
That's baloney. Now, Mary-Lynn, when someone says, I feel like life is passing me by, it usually isn't about one big dramatic problem.
That's very true. It's almost always about a small handful of patterns that add up over time.
Exactly, and we see this again and again. There are a few common traps that make people feel like time is slipping through their fingers.
We're going to share 4 of those common traps now. Trap number 1 is the autopilot life. So that's like the bologna and cheese.
Yes.
But I can't blame the guy. If I find something I really like to eat, I'm going to order that over and over again. But that's just me.
Do you drive the same way to work every day?
Well, that's one of this autopilot life things.
Yeah.
You wake up, you drive the same way to work. You got the commute. You go to work. You do the same thing at work. You do your chores on the weekends. You scroll on your phone. You watch Netflix. You go to bed. So none of these things are bad on their own. And we all need routines. We all need rest. And let's be honest, sometimes Netflix is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Oh, I think it's more like Tubi.
Well, yeah, yes.
For us, it's Tubi, right?
Yeah.
Well, the real issue here isn't routine. It's when routine becomes the default. When most of your time is spent reacting rather than choosing, life starts happening to you instead of being shaped by you. And that's when weeks blur together, months disappear, and you suddenly wonder, how did I get here so fast?
Trap number 2 is the someday trap. And this one sounds hopeful, but quietly keeps you stuck. It sounds like this. Someday I'll write that book. Someday I'll get in shape. Someday I'll travel.
And someday feels safe because there's no deadline. But someday isn't a date on the calendar.
That's a good point, Professor.
Someday never shows up unless you give it structure, a starting point, a next step. Without that, years pass and suddenly you're wondering why the things that matter to you are still sitting on the sidelines.
That's brutal. Trap number 3, fear of failure or judgment. And this one stops people before they even begin. Fear whispers, what if I fail? Or worse, what will people think if I try and it doesn't work?
So instead of starting, you delay, you stall, you wait for the right time.
Yeah, that never comes, right?
Right, because while you're waiting, life keeps moving.
And then trap number 4, loss of purpose. This one can sneak up on you slowly. Your work no longer reflects what you care about. Your routines don't line up with your values. And your relationships feel off.
And motivation dries up. Life starts to feel like a treadmill. You get on the treadmill, you got to get off at some point, but we just end up getting back on. Lots of motion, but you're not getting anywhere. Very little meaning. You're busy, but not fulfilled.
Hey, let's pause for a moment because we've talked about what it means when we say life is passing us by, and we've talked about some common traps that come with that. So let's just pause for a second right now while you're listening.
Ask yourself this one simple question. What is one thing that I'm doing on autopilot that no longer deserves as much of my time?
And don't overthink it. The first answer that comes to mind is usually the honest one.
All it takes is a little bit of awareness. Awareness alone starts breaking the pattern. And that's all we're trying to accomplish today, to just notice it.
And that brings us to the first real step in regaining control of your time and your life. Here are some practical strategies you can start using today. And step 1 is to get clear on what you actually want.
Most people have never truly defined their version of a meaningful life.
And this is the professor's big assignment for this episode. You're going to ask yourself these 2 questions and write down your answers. Here we go.
Question number 1. What do I want to be proud of in 10 years? What do I want to be proud of in 10 years? And question number 2, what am I tolerating now that I shouldn't be? What am I tolerating now that I shouldn't be? Use these answers to help you see where you're drifting and where you want to be more present.
Step 2 to regain control of your time and life, align your time with your values. If your calendar doesn't reflect your values, your time isn't going to either.
Look at how you actually spend your time.
Now, we're not looking at your ideal week. We're looking at your real week.
Where does your time really go when you're tired, when you're busy, and when you're on autopilot?
And then ask, does this match with what I say matters?
Most people value family, health, growth, freedom. But when you look at the calendar, it often tells a different story.
Ask, where's my energy leaking?
Some things don't just take time, they drain energy. Meetings, commitments, habits, even relationships that leave you depleted instead of energized.
Ask yourself, what deserves more space?
This is where intention comes in. What lights you up? What restores you? What moves your life forward, even in small ways?
Time alignment is one of the fastest ways to feel like you're back in your life. And step 3 of how to regain control of your time and your life is intentionally add new things in your life. And new doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be intentional.
And here's some ways to do that. Learn something new. Meet someone outside your usual circle. Create instead of consume. Take a different path, literally or figuratively. New experiences stretch time, and they leave you feeling full again.
Now, here's what we've noticed over the years. Most people don't lack motivation.
They lack structure.
Most people know they want more. They just don't know how to translate insight into action.
That's why guided frameworks work. They turn reflection into execution. They replace I should with here's my next step.
Our Big Success Life Map course helps you understand your priorities, align your time with your values, get clear on what you really want, and intentionally add things in your life.
Instead of drifting, you're navigating. Instead of reacting, you're choosing. And that's why people who use structured life design tools often say, time finally feels like it's working with me.
Learn more at lifemapcourse.com. Feeling like life is passing you by doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It means your inner compass is asking for attention. You still have time, and you still get to decide what the next chapter looks like. And this is the moment where everything that the professor and I have talked about here all comes together.
It's our big takeaway.
And that's big with 2 G's.
You better believe it. And this is a really important one. Life doesn't feel meaningful because of what happens to you. It feels meaningful because of how intentionally you engage with it. And that leads to big success.
Next time, we're going to touch more on something that came up in this episode, fear of failure. We're going to look at what causes it and how to overcome it. Follow our podcast in your favorite app so you don't miss it.
And be sure to follow us on social media. We're at Big Success, that's big with 2 G's, on all the big channels.
And come join us in our Big Success community where we help each other grow with an entrepreneurial mindset. You can do that at bigsuccess.com/join.
And we thank you so much for listening today. Until next time, here's to your big success.
Find Big Success at BIGGSuccess.com.